Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this special live session. I'm Itzik Amiel, and we are here with a weekly Switch interview series, as we call it, Switch It On, where we talk to smart and talented people about how can you switch your practice and even your life. And you're invited. So if you watch us now, we are live, and you're very, very much invited to join us. And again, if you're joining us, please let us know who you are, where you're diving from, because not only for me, but also for our guests. I want to see everybody that's with us. So thanks very much, Jane and Marina and Olive and Alex and Dargesh and Maureen and Alon and Diane and Joan and Danny and all of you joining us. I can see you, but please type in your name, where you're dialing from, because today we're going to talk about. I noticed that all of you love this subject, the power of reinvention. We're going to soon talk about more, but in other words, why reinvention and why not innovation will help you grow your practice and your career. We're going to hear more about it from our special guest because without a doubt, I think it will be a fabulous episode because it's so much touching about a lot of struggling, a lot of you firms there thinking and dealing with right now. Again, feel free to chat, put in the chat box. Also, if you have questions during the session to our guests, definitely put as well in the chat. So I'll be happy to address your question to our guests. I have the honor to have this live session with a really, really true reinvention expert and a speaker and author. Today, my special guest is and friend is Dr. Nadya, and I hope I pronounced the family name. But I know it's always a challenge, Nadya. I know you hear me there, and please correct me when you're coming in. But Zhexembayeva, and I'm sure I skipped something, but we'll hear so I'll do it right. So before I invite Nadya to join us, I love to give people a short introduction because more you could read afterwards, but some highlight behind the back about Nadya. So Nadya first is the founder and chief reinvention officer of the Reinvention Academy in the USA, often called the Reinvention Guru and the Queen of Reinvention. Nadya is a scientist, entrepreneur, and author specializing in resilience and reinvention. And you're going to see soon how special Nadya is. As a consultant and educator, Nadya, and I should say Dr. Nadya, helped such companies as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Coca-Cola, Cisco, L'Oreal Group, Danone, and others reinvent their product, leadership practice, and business models to really meet new markets' demands and prepare for incoming disruption. And again, it's so applicable to any one of you there in professional firms. As a speaker, Nadia delivered the keynotes and workshops for over 500,000 executives and 4 TED Talks. And as an author, she wrote several award-winning books and is a contributor to the Forbes and Harvard Business Review, among other publications. I know I can say so much more about Nadia. I don't want to embarrass her. So without short introduction, I want to bring Nadia to join us. So welcome, Nadia. Thanks for joining me for this special episode.
Itzik, thank you so much. And after that introduction, you kind of tried to, oh my God, how am I going to deliver? So let's make
That's
it.
why I don't like to do it in front of people because we all feel embarrassed like to hear about it and feel how old we are getting because the longer they read about it. So we don't want to read that. But I know everybody would love you, Nadia, because I know you're an authentic human being and great, and what you see is what you get. So welcome and thanks for joining us. And again, I know you have a tight schedule. You have a lot to share with us. So I'm really going to dive right in. And with your permission, I want to share right away a little bit the stage for our conversation. So, because in today, velocity world of extreme speed and relentless turbulence, future proofing and safeguarding your organization, your firm, your practice, your life, even your career cannot be one-time project. For all of you that are listening to you, it's not just the beginning. What I hear today is the beginning, and I'm sure you all agree about it. But the only way to survive and thrive is to build a system of embracing change and turning it into more competitive advantage for you and your practice. A system that really will take the latest, the most relevant tools and techniques and help you choose the right, if you want, cocktails or methodologies at the right time, including such as school of thought and strategy, foresight, design, thinking, innovation, agile, change management, and any others. But what the result you're asking? Less pain and more impact. So, what is that system, or how can you implement in your practice or this in this system that we're going to talk about today that will help you do that? So, you got to stay with us to listen to this insightful episode. I promise you something you never heard before, because unfortunately, it never come to our industry. And with the help of Nadia, we will, and you'll be familiar with it. This is exactly, by the way, the reason for this session with Nadia. So to help you get a glimpse to master this mindset, skill set, and tool set that Nadia will share with us about reinvention and understand the fundamental of working with content and change or constant change and uncertainty. I want to start, Nadia, with your permission with 10 questions in 1 minute. We'll do it very fast. I'll try to speak slowly so you'll understand my question. And just that the people will see that so much more to learn because we cannot cover everything in the episode. Okay?
Of
So you're
course,
ready for that?
I do. You
Great.
let's
And the audience, if you want to participate, just put in the chat. What are you thinking about the question I'm asking Nadia? So you're very welcome to join us. So let's start with the first one, Nadia. So here's the first one. To deal with change, firm and organization need to innovate, reinvent, both, or you are in the wrong direction, Itzik.
Well, it's all in the definition. And for me, reinvention includes innovation, but it's larger than that. So in our research, we discovered 9 different types of reinventions, and innovation is one of them. And you need a portfolio. Those of you who are investors, you think as a diversified portfolio, you would never put all eggs in one basket. Innovation is one egg, but you need other eggs in that basket for it to be successful. Sometimes you do need breakthrough, revolutionary, innovative ideas, but sometimes you just need a small improvement. It would not be in the innovation category, but it would make a massive difference either for you, for your clients, for your practice, for your employees, or your stakeholders.
Great, thank you. And the second one, reinvention is a one-time effort, a random effort when needed, or a continuous process.
Love that. So, just about 20, 30 years ago, reinvention would be a rare effort. It would be something you would do, statistically speaking, about every 20 to 30 years, looking at the life cycles of a typical company. So, in the past, in the 20th century, most of us may have seen one reinvention in our career, maybe not even that. We could have gone to college, graduate, retire from the same company, and never see a major change. Today's statistics that we track, and we do this research every 2 years, show that about every fifth company in the world reinvents faster than every 12 months. So faster than once a year. That means invention is a continuous process. Now it's more like taking a shower. If I don't take a shower on a regular basis, I begin to stink. If you don't wash off your products, your processes, your practices, your pricing, you will begin to stink as well. And that's why we need continuous, regular reinvention.
I like that you're touching this pain being stinky. Nobody wants to stink, right? Number three, I mean, you can even ask the shorter if you want, so we can go forward all of them. Number three is to prepare for future changes or challenges. Sorry, firms should stop worrying about it, adopt a proactive approach, or reacting ad hoc.
At this speed of change we're facing, reacting is too late. If you already seen the train, you will be smashed by that train. So it's all about proactive noticing the trends, anticipating change, and being the first one to grab it and turn it into opportunity. If you are trying to catch the train while you're already running, or you're trying to catch up with your competition, most of the time you will be too late to capture the opportunity or to manage the risk. So
Okay.
proactive it is.
Yeah, got it. I hope everybody else getting it as well. By the way, those you are asking me all the time, why do you ask this 10 question in 1 minute? You just see right away. Because you could see expert, but those who are not expert. Experts know the stuff, they know how to answer it. People who are not expert will struggle with those questions. So here you go. Number four, organizations that embrace sustainable practice and build resilient systems are better equipped to handle disruption. There is no link between reinvention and resilience. Oh, you're not sure.
Well, resilience, it's like the strength of your muscles. The reinvention is what do you do with those muscles once you are facing a threat, an
Mm,
opportunity, or whatever else. And you need both. You need to exercise before you compete, but at the moment of competition, it's a slightly different game. And we saw that during COVID. You could see which team was able to turn on and switch it on immediately and turn COVID into massive opportunity, and those who were lost, confused, disoriented, misaligned, and had no process of reinvention in place. You could see which one were already selling on day two and which one by week 3 was still not clear what the heck is going on. And
Right.
that's what it is. It all comes down to speed. And today's speed, if you are not capturing the opportunity, you are moving behind, even if you're standing still. It's like escalators moving backwards. So even if you think you're standing still, you are moving backwards.
Right. Number 5, I think, right? Yes. Effective reinvention involves selected relevant people within the organization, on your organization leadership, or the entire organization.
Well, all the research for the last 100 years has been very consistent. If you want people be fully with you on implementation, you should engage them at the decision making. Many CEOs are like, oh my God, I don't want to give rights to my people. They don't carry fiduciary responsibility. Who will be responsible? It's my head on the line. It's not that people need you to agree with them, they just need to be heard. So having a platform where they can voice their opinion, on one end engages people, on the other end you will hear some ideas that are radically interesting. So for example, there's a wonderful company that is in Europe that is using a 24-hour process to generate change and reinvention ideas from their company and then putting them into their strategic plan. The employees are excited, they don't do it every day, but it gives them a new motivation and a new way to engage with the company.
Wow, wonderful. Number 6, and I will get later on what the name of that company. Number
Done
6,
post.
engage.
Done post.
Okay, thank you. Number 6, engaging employees at all levels foster a culture of innovation, ensures that the new ideas are integrated through the organization, or maybe just help retain employees for the longer
It's all of the things, right? So
term. You
engaging,
didn't feel my tricky question. Thank you.
all of the above. Engaging employees is a multitude of research, and data is very consistent. Employee engagement boosts productivity, keeps your employees present and retained. And it costs about 6 months of a typical salary to get the new employee oriented and fully productive. So whenever you lose the employee, even if you hire immediately, you actually don't have a new replacement for at least 6 months. It's a lost cost for you. So preserving the best talent inside your company and winning the talent war becomes very important. But all of the above, there are many benefits, short-term, mid-term, and long-term, engaging your employees in reinvention.
I think that's also one of the biggest problems, also in the professional industry, retention your employees. Number 7, the reinvention process should be centered around delivering value to clients or employees' happiness, or understanding and addressing evolving client needs, or all the above.
All of the above, because you
Again,
have a very connected system, right? If you have upset customers, you cannot possibly pay your employees every competitive salaries because your revenues are going down. But if you have upset employees, you will never deliver value to your customers. So it's a very connected feedback loop. And if you're just putting all the eggs in one basket, the whole basket will fall apart. So you have to find the creative tension to keep both sides happy.
and that's very important because many people make that mistake. The thing is only in one part of the firm or the organization is apparently involve everything. Number 8, an holistic approach to reinvention does not exist, or it exists and consider various aspects of the business, or it exists and include only aspect as operation, culture, and leadership.
So that will be number 2. It does exist. There's plenty of research. Just the continuous reinvention alone as a field of study is at least 10 years old. We've been doing this for 10 years and we have beautiful thinkers around the world, both academics and people inside companies who've been developing this concept. It does exist, and it includes and engages the entire organization across all functions, all levels, and all specialists. So you need to have a
Hmm.
passing of the baton from strategy to operations to marketing, sales to change management, people, HR, and so on.
Right. And that's why everybody should stick with us and listen to the end of this episode. Number 9, what sort of leadership is required for a successful reinvention process? A servant leadership, open leadership, or adaptive leadership?
I would say all of the above. So, but I'm a proponent that diversity is the best. So I would add another five forms of leadership that are also very important. For example, we all are afraid of authoritarian leadership, but in the middle of
Mhm.
a crisis, when you are in the middle of a massive disaster, there has to be a one single voice. So there is a dance between the different diverse skill set in leadership, and every form of leadership has a place. Usually the problem is when we get stuck in one format of leadership and believe that that's the only one. That's like painting with one color. It will not be a good paint.
Wow, that's a beautiful answer. Thank you for that. I learned from that as well, by the way. So asking the question differently next time. Number 10 and the last one. One of the crucial elements for a successful reinvention process is forming strategic alliances or leveraging external expertise, maybe a fostering a collaborative culture or making a data-driven decisions.
Again, this is more complex than one sided. So we speak about seven pillars of reinvention, but at the center of
Wow.
it, three: anticipating change on a regular basis, designing change on a regular basis with full employee engagement, also customer and stakeholder engagement, and implementing change. And you just go in cycles. It's like,
Mm,
fall, winter, spring, summer. You have a repetitive cycle. You anticipate change on a regular basis. You do good design exercises with a lot of engagement, and you have an excellent implementation machine inside your organization that is cross functional, that is well oiled. And this repeats again and again. Therefore, you cannot bet on just one cornerstone.
great, awesome. Thank you very much, Nadia. I mean, I think it was not 1 minute or more, but we got so much more insight and insightful things that bring us actually to the next part of our discussion. Again, just to remind the audience, if you're here with us and you stick with us, please ask your question as well, because I'm happy to ask your question. And of course, you're welcome to tell us who you are, where you're dialing from, so we could also know who you are with us in the room. So let's start with the obvious. As stated by you in your Harvard Review article, he said innovation is the buzzword. I can add also, I think, if you look at the professional world, there's also one problem. We, as leader of professional firm or organization, might love innovation, but let's admit that most of our employees hate it.
Mhm.
So based on that distinction, my question to you, Nadia, is what is reinvention really, and how is it different from innovation?
Mhm. Well, research is very clear. Most employees are very, very risk averse, and the word
Mm,
innovation creates a sense of risk for them, especially now in the world of AI and generative AI and ChatGPT. You will see that quite a lot of professional service firms, so lawyers, for example, are fearing that innovation will get them off the company's payroll
so
because
true.
in any kind of profession where there isn't a right answer, so it's a yes or no question, ChatGPT most likely can answer that question faster, and it is available year round, 24/7. In the middle of the night, you can ask it a legal question. It will search 200 books for you and you provide a yes or no answer. So for a lot of our employees, so this is like, oh my God, I'm going to be without a job. How about my mortgage? What do I do with my kids and all of it? And innovation is a risk associated word. Another problem with the word innovation is that we've been using it so extensively that we have now a concept of making fun of this obsession with innovation that does not translate into actual value creation for employees, for stakeholders, for shareholders, for the customers. And that is called innovation theater, where we do a lot of performances. We have nice post-it notes. We post a lot of beautiful pictures on LinkedIn with our amazing creative sessions, and then crickets. Not a single post-it note became something useful. And I'm making fun of that because I've done that when I was younger as well. It sounded so amazing until you actually look back and say, okay, so what? What happened out of this? What did we actually implement? And the answer is nothing. So there is a bit of a fatigue around the word, and it's not the reason why we chose the word reinvention. There's a deeper reason. I worked with a lot of what's called legacy businesses that have been around for a while, and many of them have assets that are quite long term in operation. Take mining, for example, or manufacturing facility. I live in Ohio in the US. We are part of what's called Rust Belt. By the name of it, you can imagine it's not a sexy place. Rust Belt means all the equipment in all the factories that went out of business and started rusting because all the jobs were moved to another place. This is an example of an asset that was not reinvented and reused in a new way. And for that, innovation is wonderful, but in most cases, you cannot throw out the assets you have. You cannot throw out the decisions you have. You cannot throw out the legal structures you have. You cannot start from scratch. So you have massive limitations of reinventing, meaning you are taking what is, letting go of things that no longer work, but you keep the core of it and you find a new and better use for it. I'll give you an example. A long time ago, I had a chance to work and get to know a wonderful company called Hydra, and I write and speak about it because to this day, they're one of the best examples I know of continuous regular reinvention. So the company was producing heating and cooling equipment and massive systems for, like, let's say, a ministry, a whole building with a heating and cooling system. And in 2004, 2005, it was very clear that they were losing competitiveness and they were trying to decide, what do we do? And they asked themselves, what do we know? What expertise or asset we have? And who else other than heating and cooling might need it? And what they discovered is one of the competencies they have is electric motors, because a heating and cooling system is run on an electric motor. And at that point, of course, there was an industry in desperate need for knowledge for electric motors. That was automotive industry. Today, this company is one of the most successful and the winner of the most innovative company of Europe, most successful automotive supplier, so much so that they were able to build an automotive cluster in their country, Slovenia, that is now responsible for 10-15% of the country's GDP. Just
Oh,
one,
wow.
just one company. That's the power of reinvention, is the idea that you renew your business, you don't throw everything out. Some of it is innovation, a lot of it is continuous improvement, or something in between that would not be a breakthrough of any kind, but allows us to stay in the game.
Right. I think that's a very important point. I think you also notice the difference in reinvention when you forced to reinvent, or by choice because you want to grow and anticipate what's going to happen in the market. I think that's a huge difference, I guess. But I mentioned in your short intro, Nadia, that the world is becoming more volatile and uncertain and complex and ambiguous. And so, having that in mind, and we're thinking that growth, adjusting. My question to you is, how are the changes, and I'm trying to think again about professional services firm, but how are the changes in today's business environment impacting this need for individual or organizational reinvention?
Well, it's a huge impact. And I asked this as a quiz. You asked me questions. Now I will
Sure.
quiz. We're looking at a massive growth and disruption. So, right after the last economic recession between 2011 and 2016, 5 years, the overall level of disruption measured by the Accenture Disruption Index went up 4%. So, our typical week became 4% more disruptive, 4% more emails from the customers we didn't expect, 4% problems with suppliers we didn't expect, 4% more disruption with our employees who may be facing something in their world and they're not coming to work, or whatever other disruption. They track tons of disruption: geopolitical, economic, technological, social, every kind of disruption. So 4%. Now, between 2017 and 2022, there was growth as well, the next 5 years. The previous 5 years, 4%. What do you think was the growth of disruption in the next 5 years? Just random guess, your gut reaction.
I don't know, maybe 10 times phone bigger.
Yeah, the answer is 200%. 200%. So it's not 40, which would be 10 times bigger. It's 200%. Meaning that your company today, your week today is 200% more disrupted than just 5 years ago. But you are most likely running your business the way you ran your business 5 or 10 years ago. And then you're wondering, why are you overwhelmed? Why your employees are quitting or burning out? Why your customers are getting more and more annoyed? Is because in the world of perpetual disruption, you cannot run your business as if we are in a stable, predictable, and clear situation. It's almost like you used to live on land and you had a building, and now you need to be on water and have a ship. Your company needs to run like a completely different entity. And that is unfortunately not happening for a lot of companies, definitely not happening in professional service industries. Most companies I know, and I am a client of lawyers, I'm a client of tax advisors, I own a group of companies, so I am your typical client. And unfortunately, investment firms, if anyone is here from investment firms, I'm your client as well. Unfortunately, most of them are still running as if things are not constantly volatile and disruption. And therefore, they're losing me as a client because my needs are changing faster than they're able to even notice. And they're not having the ear to the ground to understand what's happening on the market on both customer side and the competitor side. So they become disrupted by unusual competitors. Maybe they usually look at the regulators, maybe they usually pay a lot of attention to their direct competitors, but they're not looking at, fintech industry or tax tech industry or startup world or any other disruption that is happening in our world. And that has to change.
So powerful word. And I hope all the people there listening right carefully, because the client is speaking to you and you're not listening. And I mean, you saw it right, Nadia, because a lot of firms, I mean, only change when the client demand. But you said, the guy will not demand. He moved somewhere else, somebody else who is doing it and not you. So it's even worse than that. So when the client demands, it's maybe too late many times. Thanks for opening our eyes for that. And again, those who are joining us, thank you. Thank you for joining. We're still live, so stay with us. And again, we want to ask you a question. Let us know who you are. And I saw some people already reacting when you were speaking. I saw Olga from Slovenia, and Gama, and Northern, and Veronica, and Alex. And thank you for all of you mentioning your name there. We are happy that we are with us. And again, we invited to learn about the power of reinvention. But let's become even more practical. Not that you said nothing not practical, but even dive more in, because from my experience, Nadia, from working and mentoring, training many leading professional firms worldwide, I could say with really confidence that too often, change, transformation, or reinvention effort within this firm fail, absolutely fail. And so my question for you here, and I know you're an expert, and you saw it also in different industry. How can individual organization, people listening to us right now, get better in reinvention, because they cannot do without
Few things. So you start small, and small means you start thinking, okay, what can I do in my daily practice, my weekly practice, or my monthly practice to create a little bit of room for diligent thinking and proactive reinvention? What does it mean? For myself, I have an hour on Friday that I call my no hour, where I look at everything I do, my entire practice, where my time goes, what money am I spending on what software, services, or providers, and I say, no, it's no longer helpful. I need to let go. So that alone cleans up my schedule, cleans up my expenses, leans out my cash flow, and it doesn't need to be a massive effort. It doesn't need to be, let's hire a massive consultant who will do things with us. It starts with small things, but they have to be done regularly. That's the secret, is regular, continuous, consistent reinvention. Friday coffee with yourself, with your core team, with your chief of staff, with your executive assistant, half an hour going through the notes in whatever categories you want. That will get you started. Another thing is taking regular tests, regular checks on how you're doing. We ourselves created this tool called Titanic Syndrome Test. This diagnostic checks how close you are to the Titanic on the way to the bottom of the economic ocean. And it measures your skills in three areas. How good is your company, your practice at anticipating change, how good you're at designing change, and how good you're at implementing change. It's free. You can download it. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, grab the Reinvention Toolkit, you will find the Titanic Syndrome Test. Do that at least every 3 months. If you can
Mm.
engage your team. But that will give you an indicator. You know what they say, what is not measured is not managed.
And,
So that score alone, after about 2, 3 times you're checking, will get you moving. And finally, make it fun. If you can have a pizza night and brainstorm with your team on the quickest, cheapest, most easiest reinvention, start with low hanging fruit. Start with quick wins. Yes, most reinventions are not successful because we're using the mindset of 20th century for the volatile, disrupted reality of the 21st century. And then we're worried or wondering why is our horse is not competing with Tesla because it's a horse designed for a different world. Start moving towards a different, more adaptive company, but do it in a fun way, in a quick win, low hanging fruit starting point, and carve out regular time for it.
great. That's very insightful, very practical. Thank you for that, Nadia. And again, I'm encouraging all of you there to ask your question because that's the time. I'm here with Nadia. How will I pronounce your family name right? Tell me.
Zhexembayeva.
Zhexembayeva.
Perfect.
Perfect. So I'm here with Nadya Zhexembayevar, speaking on the power of reinvention. Again, if you're interested to learning more about Nadia and her work, and if you want to get the Titanic test, to assess yourself, go to her LinkedIn profile, check it out, and you can also check a website at learntoreinvent.com. Learn and the number two reinvent.com. And I'll put it on the notes so you can all go there and check it out. And of course, if you have any questions, Nadia, feel free to connect with her and ask your question because I'm sure you'll find a lovely conversation and more, a lot of expertise that you can help you a lot. And this page, by the way, you can also find more information about the Reinvention Academy that I mentioned before that Nadia is doing, and probably there's more way to go and enter there. You can encounter and you get all the information you need. Again, if you want to make sure you don't miss any one of our weekly Switch on interview series, follow me on LinkedIn, go to the Switch Up website. You can sign up, get my business development strategies and tips, and also be added to our email list where you can regular reminder about fantastic guests like Nadia today. Okay, so let's continue about the practical topics. I know I'm about to half an hour. Don't worry, because I want to ask a few more questions. So stay with us because we're speaking about the power of reinvention. And I was shocked to read, Nadia, that the average company need to reinvent itself. I think you wrote every 3 years just to survive. And I assume this holds true, to also professional service firm, with this trend set to really continue rise, as you said, in years to come. And I want to help our viewers to accelerate the process of reinvention in their practice. So, it brings me to the next question: is what are the specific do's and don'ts for successful reinvention?
So there are quite a lot of specific do's and don'ts. And number one to remember is we just survived the pandemic that was followed by inflation all over the world. Most people are already exhausted and change fatigued. And research is very clear. If 5 years ago, a typical organization had 74% of their employees fully supporting the idea that we need to change, transform, reinvent. Right now, that number, according to Harvard Business Review, is 43%, down from 74 and falling. So most of your employees are already like, get off my back, don't touch me. I don't want to reinvent. I've done enough of this since 2020. Stop this whole reinvention business, which means don't scare your people. Don't sell it always as a positive. You need to give them a moment to be human and to be real and express their real feelings. We're not a cult. We don't need everyone to stand there and say, yes, sir. We want to create a space for honest conversations. A lot of that space can be organized in a creative way. So, for example, we teach inside Reinvention Academy this exercise called Kill the Company. And it sounds very scary, but it's a fun way to create buy-in and reduce resistance among your employees, where you are engaging them in figuring out how risks are showing up for your company, how easy it is to destroy your organization. And once they map out the risk, they themselves start telling you, we need to change, we need to move, we need to reinvent. So do not sell it always as this big, positive, amazing thing that will save us. We used to believe it 20, 30 years ago. Out of a mess of the century, nonstop disruption, 200 unfinished reinvention projects, it's not as much of an easy sell. So let's be honest about it. Let's renegotiate what I call and you renegotiate the psychological contract with your employees. This concept came from a wonderful thinker, Chris Argyris, who introduced this idea that we have a invisible, often unconscious contract with the employees, where employees say, I do this for you, and you as employer promise me this. We have to start rethinking the relationship around change and have more honest conversations with our employees about change. So it starts there. Second, don't eat an elephant in one sitting. Many companies start with this monumental, let's change everything, massive thing. No, start with lean, short, small experiments. Understand many of them will not survive. Those experiments will not do well. It's like when you're planting seeds in a good harvest, many of your seeds won't grow, but you have enough of them hatching and growing. So that's what we are there for. We're there to create a fertile environment to nurture it and understand that we're not really clear which of the projects will be successful. So no big elephant projects, small lean experiments, fast moving, test them out, let them go, or nurture them further. So that would be the second do and don't. And the third one, I will repeat it again and again and again. None of this makes difference unless it's continuous, regular, consistent. So maybe consistent for you is a reinvention pizza night once a month. Maybe consistent for you is reinvention clinic or lab or breakfast once every 2 weeks. Maybe consistent for you is something else. But in the professional service industry right now, if you're not taking at least some look at the renewal every 3 months, you will be out of business very quickly.
Great. I mean, and I think that people take it too hard because that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have the Kodak and the Nokia in the professional industry very soon. And one question I always ask the audience many times, who, if I give you a blank piece of paper, will you do the same law firm you have right now or something new? And those who said to me no, I said history shows that you will be wiped out of the map very fast. So you better rethink yourself what's going on. Because that's what happened. But people think, no, I have everything in place. I don't need to reinvent anything. So
Absolutely.
that was very practical point. I know Nadia you have so much more to share, but I want to summarize the things because here's the truth. We also in the professional service industry don't have the luxury to invent in a vacuum. So we have to figure out how to create new while also preserving the best of the old. The main question each of us, I think, should ask ourselves, if we listen carefully to Nadia herself or himself, is how to drive change while also assuring continuity. And I think that precisely that reinvention is all about. If we listen carefully to what Nadia is telling us, that's exactly where invention comes to place. And you learned today for this powerful session. I suggest listen to it again with so much diamond, so many golden nuggets Nadia talked about. And I'm sure if you have any question, you can engage and connect with Nadia and she'll help you out. There's so much more knowledge. Maybe we'll come with something new together. We're thinking about it because we'll see. I mean, if you're interested, let us know because the more you tell us know in advance, we will encourage us to work on something special for our industry. So to summarize this great session, let me share a quote that inspired many of you. And I don't know why I chose that one, but I said the tongue can paint what the eye cannot see. And maybe that's something you can think about. But now, my friends, it's time to take action and implement what you have learned in this session. I mean, I've been here with Nadia. Again, I forgot how to pronounce your family name, Zhexembayeva, something like that. And she is the top reinvention expert, author, speaker, and I should add a real change maker because you really need to see how many people there who are talking things from practical point of view, not coming and yelling at you. You need change, and have no clue what to do. Give you the tools to do it and to stand in the back at the end waiting for you to see the success and applauding you. That's how Nadia is. But now I want to thank you, Nadia. It was fantastic. Another time passed very fast, but I'm sorry for that. But thank you very, very much for having you here.
Happy to be here, Itzik. Thank you so much for having me.
It was really beautiful and positive. And Nadia and myself want to thank each one of you sticking with us. I know you have so much more questions. So please ask Nadia. I know we're not going to answer, but you can also ask under the video here. Even if you watch the replay, I'll make sure Nadia get your question that she can answer it to it. So until next time, the next episode next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central European Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. I will say now it's time to stop and switch on and stop innovating and start reinventing your practice and even your career if you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nadia. Bye bye for now.
Thank you.